Welcome to e-learning, Standard 10th, Chapter 1, Science 2, Heredity. This part of the chapter, namely Heredity, deals with the study of heredity and heredity changes, as well as the mechanism of protein synthesis. What is heredity? Heredity is the transfer of biological characters from one generation to another, either through sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. The offspring cells or organism acquire the genetic information of their parents via genes. An example of heredity is the likelihood that you will have blue eyes or possibility of having breast cancer based on your family history. Remember, students, all cells arise from their parents. So the genetic material must be replicated and passed from parent to progeny cells at each cell division. Heredity is important to all living organisms as it determines which traits are passed from parent to child. Successful traits are more frequently passed along and over a time can change a species. Changes in traits can allow organisms to adapt to specific environments for better rates of survival. Heredity occurs in all living organisms. It's why we look like our biological parents. The traits can be physical, such as eye color, blood types, or a disease, or behavioral. John Gregor Mendel belonged to an Austrian nationality and was a Christian by religion. He discovered the basic principles of heredity through experiments in his garden. Mendel's observations became the foundation of modern genetics and the study of heredity, and he is widely considered as the pioneer, that is, the father in the field of genetics. Hugo Marie de Vries was a Dutch botanist and one of the first geneticists. His theory was one of the chief contenders for the explanation of how evolution worked. He continued his studies with new forms until his death in 1935. He is known mainly for suggesting the concept of number 1, genes, number 2, rediscovering the laws of heredity in the 1890s while unaware of Gregor Mendel's work. Introducing the term mutation, developing a mutational theory of evolution in 19 not one where the reasons behind the sudden changes were explained. Walter Sutton observed the paired chromosomes in the cells of grasshopper. He began studying the inheritance of grasshoppers at the turn of the century. In 1902, he published a paper arguing that chromosomes occur in matched pairs with one chromosome from each pair originating from that organism's parents. In 1903, Sutton expanded his theory to conclude that each pair of chromosomes segregates during the production of sex cells, that is, sperm or egg cells via meiosis. In other words, each cell, known as gametes, contain a full set of unpaired chromosomes. Meiosis is a process where a single cell divides twice to produce 4 daughter cells containing half the amount of genetic material. This cell are sex cells, sperm in males, egg in females. 44. Trio of scientists Ostwald Avery, Macklin McCarthy, and Colin MacLeod proved that except viruses, all living organisms have DNA as genetic material. Oswald Avery was a Canadian-American physician and medical researcher. Along with other scientists, he set out to determine the chemical nature of the substance that allowed transformation. Macklin McCarthy was an American geneticist who devoted his life as a physician scientist to studying infectious diseases organisms. Was best known for his part in the monumental discovery that DNA rather than protein constituted the chemical nature of a gene. Colin was a Canadian-American geneticist. He was one of the trio scientists who discovered the deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is responsible for the transformation of the physical character of bacteria, which subsequently led to its identification as the molecule responsible for heredity.